Good morning, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. It is February 2019. We have a lot of news to get to, so let's begin. First up, woman arrested in connection with fatal crash with bicyclist. Correction officer killed in crash. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9, Kristen Carosa.
If you're seeing this ad, that means you can get home heating oil for the lowest price available in your area. From Rhymes Propane and Oil. Reliable service and the lowest oil prices guaranteed. Rhymes, serving your energy needs for over 40 years. Learn more at rhymes.com.
The investigation took a long time because we wanted to make sure we got it right.
Concord investigators say Jessica Warren was driving along North State Street in the area of Tenney Street and Parmenter Road back in September when her car collided with a bicycle driven by Patrick Bettens.
They were both traveling northbound on North State Street at the same time. There was an obstruction in the roadway. Mr. Bettens appears to have tried to avoid that obstruction.
That obstruction was another vehicle, but police say Warren crossed over the yellow line and was following Bettens too closely, which led to the crash.
Throwing him from his bicycle. And he sustained serious injuries that resulted in his death, unfortunately. It was a very tragic situation.
Bettens was a corrections officer at the state prison and leaves behind 2 children.
We feel for the victim and victim's family during this time. That's never over. Happened a few months ago, but it's still fresh in their minds, I'm sure.
At the time of the crash, Warren was also driving with a suspended license.
Ms. Warren will have her day in court, and hopefully the family will find some justice or some type of closure can help that along.
Now, Warren faces 2 misdemeanor charges and 2 violations connected to this fatal crash. She will face a judge in April. We're live in Concord. Kristen Carosa, WMUR News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Bernie Sanders calls New Hampshire enormously important to his presidential hopes in 2020. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9.
Instead of shoveling snow this season, get your own Kubota BX tractor with your choice of snow removal.
Thank you, New Hampshire.
It was one of the biggest victories in first-in-the-nation primary history. In 2016, Bernie Sanders blew out Hillary Clinton in New Hampshire. News 9 spoke with the Vermont senator as he launched his 2020 campaign Tuesday, and he says once again, the Granite State is crucial to his path to the White House.
Well, it goes without saying that New Hampshire is enormously important, and I want to thank the people of New Hampshire who in 2016 not only gave us a very strong victory, but showed the American people that the ideas that we were fighting for, all of those ideas that I brought to New Hampshire 3 years ago, they were at that point considered radical and extreme. Well, the people in New Hampshire said differently.
2020 is not 2016. This time around, a large and growing field of diverse candidates are already building their campaigns here. But when we asked Sanders about the dynamics of this race, he noted that the ideas many candidates are running on, like publicly funded health care and elections, he's been touting for decades.
Well, obviously, a race which has 10 or 15 people is a very different race than has 1. I hope that the people of New Hampshire will take a look at my experience, will take a look at how long I have been fighting for these ideas. These are not new ideas for me.
So an intense race just reached another level for 2020. And for more reaction from Democrats and left-leaning independents, let's go live now to Jen Crompton.
Well, even diehard Sanders supporters say this will be much tougher than 2016, when it was basically a two-person primary, and his progressive ideas that seemed so new and different then are now essentially shared by most of a growing field of 12. When she got the word, Salme Perry hauled a 2016 campaign sign from her barn. The Rollins for Democratic Party chair excited to support Senator Bernie Sanders for another presidential primary run.
He has changed the conversation in this country just amazingly.
She admits that grassroots efforts will be tougher this time around, given how many other progressive Democrats are running, but is confident he'll prevail.
He's the real deal. I mean, you've got to go back to who he is. He's so authentic.
But Democratic National Committee woman Kathy Sullivan believes Sanders won the primary here in 2016 because voters wanted somebody new and different and not Hillary Clinton.
So I think it's going to be more difficult for him because we have so many more people running, a lot of energy, people going out to see all the other candidates.
The UNH student newspaper will roll out its first primary coverage this week. But even in a town where Sanders beat Clinton by 2-1 in 2016, he is no shoe-in.
I'm a little hesitant this time, especially with what the other candidates are saying, and his age does worry me.
Also, it would be nice to see a woman in power.
Definitely be seeing, especially how people like Sanders and Joe Biden fare against these relative newcomers to the presidential race.
Kathy Sullivan says Sanders' bar is set very high, and she believes that if he does not win the New Hampshire primary again, his campaign will be effectively over. Live in Portsmouth, Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we'll have to keep a close watch and see what happens. Kamala Harris tells New Hampshire leaders she intends to speak truth during presidential campaign. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9.
Instead of shoveling snow this season, get your own Kubota BX tractor with your choice of snow removal.
Making her first trip to New Hampshire since declaring she was running for president, California Democratic Senator Kamala Harris talked about why she is in the race.
We need a change. We cannot continue to have an administration and a president of the United States who puts his vanity projects ahead of the needs of the people of our country.
Harris was referring to the president's decision to build the border wall by declaring a national emergency in order to secure funding. Harris, a former prosecutor and Attorney General of California, says the wall doesn't deal with the problem.
The trafficking that is happening of drugs and guns coming into our country, it's happening at ports of entry.
Speaking before business leaders, Harris said contrary to the belief of some, the economy is not working for working people.
99% of the counties in the United States, if you are a minimum wage worker working full-time, you cannot afford market rate for a one-bedroom apartment.
To counter that, Harris proposes giving families making less than $100,000 a $6,000 tax credit and repeal the recent tax bill. Harris also took a shot at the administration's environmental policy, saying climate change is real and warning about the consequences of failing to take action.
Let me tell you, right now, as far as I'm concerned, wars are being fought over oil. In a short time, they will be fought over water.
There had been some thoughts that Harris would bypass New Hampshire, concentrating instead on more populous states, but Harris said she plans to be here often, speaking to and listening to New Hampshire's Granite Staters' concerns. Reporting live in Manchester, Ray Brewer, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. More arrests made in connection with brawl at UNH fraternity. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Andy Hirschberger.
If you're seeing this ad, that means you can get home heating oil for the lowest price available in your area. From Rhymes Propane and Oil. Reliable service and the lowest oil prices guaranteed. Rhymes, serving your energy needs for over 40 years. Learn more at rhymes.com.
Zachary Banks is the fourth University of New Hampshire football player charged with riot after a brawl at Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity late last month. Authorities say the incident happened early in the morning after one football player was blocked from entering a party.
He left, came back a short time later with a group of persons who we've identified as members of the UNH football team. They forced their way into the fraternity. There were a number of assaults ongoing.
The three other players were arrested at the beginning of this month. A spokesperson for the university says all four have been suspended from the team pending the resolution of their legal issues. A fifth student has also been arrested and charged with misdemeanor simple assault. Durham police say that no one with the fraternity is facing any charges, but they say that it's possible the fraternity could face some sort of sanctions from the school. University officials said in a statement they are conducting an independent investigation into the behavior and conduct of all parties involved to determine if conduct charges are appropriate. Until the investigation is completed, they remain university students.
The riot charges are all felonies, so pretty significant penalties go along with that. We're winding down our investigation. We anticipate making additional arrests.
Police say all of the people charged in the case have been released on bail. In Durham, Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Major League Baseball pitcher Don Newcomb dies at 92. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Gene Mackin.
If you're seeing this ad, that means you can get home heating oil for the lowest price available in your area. From Rhymes Propane and Oil. Reliable service and the lowest oil prices guaranteed. Rhymes, serving your energy needs for over 40 years. Learn more at rhymes.com.
His face can be found larger than life along Nashua's streets. His name, Don Newcomb, hangs on historic Holman Stadium where he played. His number, 36, retired next to teammate Roy Campanella. Along with Jackie Robinson, they were signed to the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1945 and sent first to minor league teams. Newcomb and Campanella came to the Nashua Dodgers, the first U.S. team to field an integrated team.
Between Jackie Robinson and Roy Campanella and Don Newcomb, those guys really broke the barrier, and that's going to be their legacy for sure.
Silver Knights manager B.J. Neverett treasures the history at Holman Stadium. Newcomb played in this ballpark in 1946 and 47, a star pitcher welcomed by fans, but he also endured slurs from some visiting teams. He went on to become the first major league player to win Rookie of the Year, MVP, and the Cy Young Award. His own words are engraved in the concourse, saying Nashua treated him and Roy Campanella like long-lost sons.
The old-timers say that he was very visible. The kids loved him. He was good with the kids, and he's pretty legendary around here. My dad he was old enough to come to watch the games here. He's talked about those guys. He's seen them around town.
Even long after he retired, Newcomb returned here to Holman Stadium, where generations of fans were excited to see the legend.
I met him in 2000. He came here to Nashua. New Hampshire should be proud of the baseball legacy of this state because we've had a lot of real good stories. I'm sure he's going to be missed by all.
In Nashua, Gene Mackin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Dow features point to slightly lower open aimed U.S.-China trade talks. Fed minutes due. U.S. stocks were mixed Wednesday morning with market participants monitoring the latest round of trade talks between the world's two largest economies. Who is Jeff Ronson, the new pick for Deputy Attorney General? Rod Rosenstein is likely leaving the Justice Department next month. After a turbulent 2 years for Deputy Attorney General Rob Rosenstein, caught in the middle of President Donald Trump's error over Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia-related investigation. Who is the man Trump is nominating to replace Rosenstein? His name is Jeff Rosen, and he's already a number 2 at another federal agency, the Transportation Department. He and newly installed Attorney General William Barr worked together years ago at the powerhouse law firm Kirkland and Ellis. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. Goodbye, everyone.